Alright guys, so again, truck has been sitting for a couple hours. There's no choppiness to it whatsoever. So we are going to take a quick trip into town. I'm not doing anything specific, I'm just going into town. Now this fog light, this driver's side fog light was working, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. It just burned out. So I'm just going to put it back in the housing for now. I'm getting new housings for it next week. So I'm really not all that worried about it. What I am worried about is getting the thing to go back in there and twist. But I'll be right back. Alright guys, so here I am just driving around in downtown Camden. And I mean, the gauge seems to have moved like a little bit. I mean, like a small iota. So, I mean, I still can't say that it's correct or not. You know, I really wouldn't want this thing dropping significantly. I mean, that's just a great big duh. And, you know, the 6.0 is supposed to get better fuel mileage than the 7.3. And my fuel gauge drops. I mean, it drinks some diesel. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yeah, it's a fuel saver. No, it's not. It drinks the hell out of some diesel. So maybe I'm just not used to, you know, the smaller engine. But we'll see. And it is still sluggish, but it's probably because there's no power on injector number 3. So, I mean, there's times where it'll giddy up and go, and then there's times where it has trouble getting out of its own way. So, I mean, I say whatever, you know, I'm not going to worry about it until after I change both the harness and, if it comes to it, the injector. If it's still doing this, then I'll worry. But I'm not going to worry until I get the injector issue squared away. So, we'll see what happens after that. Here's the bridge I was telling you guys about that I like to do this. But because it hesitated, it didn't do it in time, so oh well. But I'll usually come through here in my 7.3, and I mean, it'll be so freaking loud. I've had people cover their ears. Those 7.3s are not as quiet as you think they are. But once I get this thing, see, now this thing's trying to giddy up. I honestly think it's an injector issue. But anyway, we'll see what happens once I get closer back to home. Be right back. Alright guys, so I went through a little town called Woodbury. It's just outside of Hampton, Arkansas. So I took the extreme long way home. And the reason I did, that fuel gauge is still sitting in the same spot. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Now, what I will tell you that I do like is, turn that radio down. I had my Bluetooth music going on that little thing right there. It's a little cheapy you get from Walmart. But, what the hell? Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so the fuel gauge is not moving like I thought it was. So I'm guessing either it is stuck, or this thing just gets really good fuel mileage, because if you look right there, it says I've done 109 miles, almost 110. I'm at 109.8 right now. If you can't see that, here, let me brighten it up for you. Just a second. If I can find my little wheel. There we go, see? Oh, there we go, 110 miles. So, I love these LED lights. They're great for if you're in the big city and you can't see your gauges, you can turn it up. But out here in the country, there's really no need for the gauges to be that bright. I mean, this thing's driving great. Oh, here's Hampton. But yeah, I mean, the fact that my fuel gauge hasn't dropped even just a little bit, like it keeps going back up and then it comes down and then it goes up. Now I understand some fuel gauges are going to fluctuate. You know, that only makes sense. But hell, this thing should have at least come down. I'm not going to say between 3/4 and half, but you know, like a little bit further beneath 3/4 of a tank. I mean, it's not sitting on 3/4 of a tank, it's sitting just underneath it. And when I asked my wife about it, there's our courthouse. I mean, I do reside in Calhoun County, but I don't live in Hampton. I sure as shit wouldn't live in Hampton. But anyway, sorry for anyone that lives in Hampton, Arkansas, but just no, hell no. I couldn't live in any city. There are just too many rules, and you know, to be honest with you, I mean, I get that they have ordinances and rules and stuff like that, and they're there for a reason, but a lot of those like for instance, you know, if I wanted to grill in my backyard, some cities you have to have a permit, a burn permit. Are you crazy? That's one of the few reasons I will not live in the city. Another reason, your neighbors are too damn close. Anyway, let's get down. Alright. See, like, it should have just, you know, giddy up and went, but it did not. Long as I make it back to the house, I'm fine, you know. I mean, my plan, I don't plan on putting any more fuel in here until I'm close to running out. What I'm planning on doing, I've got my 5-gallon gas can with me. What I want to do is put some fuel in it and, you know, just ride around. And if that fuel gauge moves, great. If it doesn't, when I run out, I'll be able to put some fuel back in here. And then I'll know I need to change out this sending unit again. which it's not that bad of a job. It wouldn't have been that bad if it weren't raining. And I'm used to changing out fuel pumps on like F-150s and Mustangs, you know, gas-burning cars and trucks. And I understand the principle's the same. But first off, I'm not used to dropping a 38-gallon tank. So, I mean, that's number one. You know, almost a 40-gallon tank. I'm not used to dropping a tank that huge. And two, you know, it kind of threw me off. I mean, I knew what I was expecting when I pulled the sending unit. I was expecting it to not have a fuel pump, but it still threw me off, the fact that there was not a fuel pump in there. But, I mean, look at that. Fuel gauge is still in the same spot. So either the fuel gauge is stuck in there, because I did have my wife turn the key and I lift the arm up and let it down, and she said the fuel gauge was moving. It took a little while, but it was moving. So, I don't know. I mean, I could have put it back in there and wedged it, because the one that came out didn't have a super long float arm, you know, arm to the float. It was a short float arm. So, I mean, there's a reason there was a short one that came out, even though they all have the same connections. The arrows pointed in the same direction. All of that's the same. It's just that the short one, for the direction that the arrows pointed, the float arm isn't going to be running the length of the tank. It's going to be running the width of the tank, and those really long ones, it would get wedged up against it. So that's kind of what I'm wondering is what happened. You know, maybe when I put it in there, it got wedged in that spot, and so maybe it was just my brain thinking, you know, hey, the fuel gauge is dropping, because that's what I'm wanting. I'm wanting the fuel gauge to drop so bad, but, you know, it's not dropping. I mean, I've put almost 120 miles on here between going back and forth on that straight stretch, going all the way to Camden, which is a 20-mile run, and then I made a big loop going from Camden to East Camden to Woodbury. I just left Hampton, and I'm now almost back to Locust, which is where I live. So, I mean, to put that, I mean, when I had my Mustang, which I get diesel burns slower than gasoline, but had this have been my 7.3 and I had a full tank, I mean, say it was slam full, and I made this same run, I would be partially off of full. So if this fuel gauge was partially off of 3/4 of a tank, you would think that it would be sitting a little closer to the half tank instead of it sitting in the same spot. So, I mean, that's my big concern right there. So, I'll dive a little further into that, but right now my main concern is getting that injector harness swapped out and seeing if that helps the issue. If not, then I'll know I need to order the injector. And so what I'll do is I'll order, so my plan is to order the injector harness first. If it doesn't clear up my issues, I'm going to wait on the harness just for 1 week, because I'm going to get the new sending unit, the one like I pulled off of here, throw that in. That should, you know, problem solved. And then I'll order the injector. So we'll see, but I'm not going to film me driving all the way back home. That's just, You know, I'm probably about 5 to 8 miles away from home, so I'm not just going to film myself jaw-jacking. I do enough of that already. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. More to come. Later, Gators.